That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a f***ing toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
I had to steer into Pete's lovely eyes here. Finally got him in the studio. Folks, Ben's over in the OneCast Fishing Cave packaging all those snagless jigs that we always talk about for you guys to kick out in the mail and stuff like that. But we got a great show lined up for you today. By the time you're hearing this, I will be down and be fishing Division 1 of the Bassmaster Opens.
It'll be day one.
It'll be day one.
Mm-hmm.
Day one and day fun. So we're looking forward to that. But before we jump into it with this week's guest, want to support those who support us the most. OneCast Fishing. Head on over to OneCastFishing.com. Use the code TheOneCast, all one word at checkout, and get all the snagless jigs, weedless nets, soft plastics, long neck hooks, and everything else that OneCast Fishing has to offer, to include the new Alewife colored 3.5 and 5-inch stinger. He's also got that in a perch color as well. And I know I'm going to be using a lot of these. Thank you, Ben, for the speedball package earlier this week. Also, while you're online, head on over to see our friends at Carolina Waters, CarolinaWatersNC.com. Use the code TheOneCast, all one word at checkout. Get all that UPF gear to stay protected from the UV rays. And then use that link that Pete always drops in every single episode. It'll take you right to Hobie Eyewear and get your hands on all the different lenses and frames that Hobie has to offer, to include the new whole float frame that came out last year, 100% upcycled kayak plastic. And then download the Deep Dive app before your next fishing adventure. Make sure you download Deep Dive at your app store and pay for that annual subscription. It's going to help you break down bodies of water and catch more fish with all the different features that they have to offer. And then that's going to bring you to Central North Carolina, because we are the mecca for bass fishing, in my opinion, the Piedmont region, Eastern North Carolina, Western North Carolina. Our guest is going to talk about some of that tonight. And in order to do that, you're going to need to find a great real estate agent to get you in the home of your dreams. And that's going to be Terry Carpenter. You can reach him at carpentert@hpw.com. Uncle Terry is a licensed real estate agent in Central North Carolina with Howard Perry Wilson and Caldwell Banker. He's been servicing the bass fishing and greater community and probably sells more houses than anybody that I know. So hit him up at carpentert@hpw.com. Boom.
Nailed it.
Got it. That little radio.
If you're watching and not listening, you can click that QR code that I threw up there while Trey was talking about that. And that'll give you the links to all of that stuff.
Ooh.
New feature that I just figured out worked. So click on that. I'll take you to our link tree, and it'll link you straight to all those awesome partners that we have and are so thankful to work with. And man, dual threat fishing day one.
Woo.
Today. No entry fees now. Payouts haven't changed. I remain skeptical with no payouts. We'll see if all the checks cash.
No
wait and
fees.
see if
Not no payouts, no entry fees.
no entry fees.
could be
no payouts. To be determined. We got to see if those first checks cash, or if we have a Western big bag. What was the one out there? Wild West, where the checks weren't cashing.
Yeah.
See if we have one of those situations on our hand. Drew Gill went out there and won the first BPT event on Gunnersville.
That's right.
Took full advantage of the technology, and people said he wouldn't win with them limiting it to a period, and he went out there and mashed him in the face on the championship day using that technology. Now, to be fair, I actually counted the fish, because there was, of course, Randy Blockett made a post, and I wanted to argue with him, but then he blocked me again. On my fourth burner account that he's blocked. But he caught 18 fish using it, and he caught 10 without it. So he only caught 8 less fish not using it.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that was over 2 periods, so he only caught 5 fish a period versus 18 in one, but he still caught fish. He won it. Quit your crying.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing. It was fun to watch. They were whacking him on a trap, man.
Yes.
I think 3 of the top 10 didn't ever turn forward facing on. And we're not saying you should or shouldn't use it, but people want to hear who did and didn't use it. Some folks didn't use it. Some folks did. It was a fun tournament to watch. I didn't watch any of it. I watched some of the highlights. It's hard to watch during work and stuff, but super fun to see him down there with a trap, which I think we talked about playing a big role in that event. Some guys catching him on the bladed jig as well, and it was fun. So what was that, Ben?
Bank Shaw boat caught fire.
Yeah, Bank Shaw had a boat fire. It was not related to lithium batteries, since everybody wanted to argue about that on the internet. He had a wire short somewhere up around his console.
That'll do it.
That sparked off and apparently caught his boat on fire. I
But
didn't
he's
see
okay.
how he is okay.
He's okay. He's safe.
I didn't see how he ended up fishing the last day. I think somebody lent him a boat. I don't know. Maybe our guest today knows. But high school Bassmaster, Trey, want to talk a little bit about that? Kissimmee chain.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to tell Zach Burge, who's a good buddy of ours, like, hey, man, congratulations on making that climb up the leaderboard. He absolutely started dominating.
He finished fourth.
He finished in the top 5, if I'm not mistaken. And then, MDJ, he went out there with a Bill Lewis rattle trap, and he has a really cool practice vlog if you like watching YouTube and stuff like that. And he burned it down with a trap. So really cool event. BASS goes there for their first event, or Bassmaster Elite Series goes there for their first event, right? Here shortly. So, but yeah, high school Bassmaster just wrapped up down in Kissimmee chain, a little over 24 pounds, won that. And then, we got the college series going on. By the time you guys hear this, it'll be wrapped up. And then it'll be first day Division 1 of the Opens.
Yeah. So tune in tomorrow night, Fishing Friday Live, so we can hear how Trey made it to his first cut for Championship Saturday. And he's going to talk about his first Open tournament. So we'll definitely have to do a live tomorrow if you're listening to this.
If I'm on live on Friday night, that means I didn't make the.
You can still go. We got no excuses. Look,
hey, I don't know what the turnout's going to be. I know it's going to be pretty packed,
I know your title sponsor, and I'll make him a requirement.
That's right. There you go. But yeah. So we got a great guest lined up. Anything else to cover, Ben, before we bring our special guest on tonight?
No, I think that's the major news going on right now. The start of the fishing season, tournaments are kicking off.
It's getting ready to get hot and heavy. Let's bring our guest on tonight. We got Mr. Andrew Young, as he likes to be referred to as Drew. He's been called worse things, he said, when we talked to him before this. We're going to bring him on. Drew, thanks for joining us.
What's up, fellas?
Thanks for joining us. What's up, man? This afternoon, and giving us some of your time to get your story out there and stuff. And, just for the audience, a little background, Andrew or Drew or whatever the nasty names he likes to be called are, he came up and saw us at the Raleigh Bass and Saltwater Fishing Expo. And we were talking fishing and stuff like that. And that's how these kinds of things happen. We're like, hey man, let's get you on the show. Let's talk about it. Let's get your story out there. And Drew has a pretty big portfolio in the tournament fishing realm, but we're gonna talk about that later. Drew, we want to get the audience to know you, so tell them a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I'm from a little hole in the world in southeast North Carolina. So if anybody has ever been to Myrtle Beach, then you have been very close to my house. And that's one of the things that a lot of people ask me. They're like, why don't you saltwater fish? And I'm like, I don't like it. So I'm not a saltwater fisherman. I think red fishing is like one of the easiest things in the world to do compared to bass fishing. We used to argue about that at Bass Pro Shop all the time in Myrtle Beach. I worked there for about 4 years. So had a lot of hate on that. Me being a bass fisherman, everybody was like, nothing's stronger than a 32-inch red. And I'm like, catch one of those 12-inch largemouth out of the Little PD River, and we'll talk about it. But no, that's where I'm from, man.
Well, wait a minute here. So you live in like the saltwater fishing mecca, especially on the North Carolina, South Carolina side.
I do.
Has that ever? Did you ever give it a chance? Did you ever give it?
I have. I've actually been out and also had a few stops of the Coast Guard and DNR. There's a lot more DNR on the saltwater side of everything than what you see in freshwater. But I'm friends with all those guys. They're good guys. They don't mean no harm. They're just doing their job. So they as long as you ain't breaking the rules, you're good. That's one of those big things there. So I have fished a lot of the saltwater stuff, flounder for years. We still go and fish off the pier in the fall for spots, and fishing all the tidal water here from Wilmington. I'm about 45 minutes to an hour from Wilmington in North Carolina. And Lake Sutton is another one that's freshwater, but actually a lot of people don't realize you can catch flounder and there are blue crab in that lake.
Really? In Sutton?
and Lake
I've
Sutton
heard- yeah, I heard
because
that. I heard there's
they used
flounder
to-
and blue crab.
yeah, they used to pump water in from the Cape Fear River right there into the lake to help with the cooling stations when it was a coal factory. And you could go in there in the wintertime and the water used to be like close to 85 to 90 degrees coming out of the hot water discharge, and it'd be like 40 degrees outside. So
Good gracious.
it was insane.
Yeah. So you're down there. You're a few hours away from us, probably 2.5 hours away from us if I'm accurate, right? 2 hours.
That's correct.
Yeah, 2.5 hours. So did you grow up down there? Is that like
I
home
have.
for you? Yeah.
I have. This is home. I haven't left. My wife actually is from Charleston, so I had I ain't going to try to get into the long story of it, but I had a corneal ulcer and had to go to a specialist out of Charleston, and she actually worked for the eye doctor. And after I was released, I got her number. I asked for her number, and she gave me the card to contact her at the doctor's office. So, she made me work extra hard for her, and she moved down here with me after a couple of years of dating, and now we've got 2 kids. So we live happy in our little hole in the world. So we pump sunshine in down here sometimes.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, we're about to get smashed with some nasty weather and stuff, but that's cool, man. I mean, you came out of that doctor's office seeing pretty clear, I take it, because you're still with your lovely wife. So that's amazing. So before we jump into the fishing side of it, like what is it that you do? We always love to ask anglers and stuff. Like there's tournament anglers that, they want to make a living fishing. But then there's tournament anglers that realize like that's maybe not the best business model to make money. So what do you do outside of tournament fishing?
So my actual real daytime job is I am a conductor for RJ Cortman Railroad. It's a short line here that runs from Myrtle Beach to Chadburn and from Chadburn to Mullins. So I'm a conductor for that. Primarily, if you ever see the train around the beach off of 501, that's probably me. And if the train's holding you up, that's probably me too. That's where I get these other names. They'll wave at me, and it's usually not a polite wave.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Well, I mean, dude, working the railroad, that's not an easy business. And, we all love our convenience and stuff like that. And I actually had a buddy that worked, I think it was for CSX, up out of Illinois or something. And man, he had some of the wildest stories. Some of them are really dark. Some of them are really dark stories, and people don't want to hear those ones. But how long have you been doing the railroad conducting profession for?
I've actually been in the railroad conducting for 4 years, a little bit over 4 years. Before that, I was a maintenance supervisor at a community college. Okay. So my wife and I made the switch whenever my child Bridger came along, and a little bit more stability, lot better retirement, things of that nature. I also guide, and I travel fishing tournaments, so I guide and give fishing lessons as well in my spare time. So we've awesome. Got my wife's got a full plate, and trying to keep up with me and keep me on the right path, and so she has 3 kids to deal with instead of just 2.
Well, yeah. I mean, all of us anglers are like little kids in a candy store every single time we go to the tackle shop, or we're constantly window shopping online. And you're like, yo, can we pay the light bill this month? Okay. Yeah. Right. Enough said.
That's right. So one of my worst arguments that I have ever been in with my wife, we don't hardly ever argue about anything except for what are we going to eat for supper? Which I'm sure that's everybody. The biggest argument we got into was whenever COVID hit. I was actually at the college still, and people were shutting down. They gave me a week off. I said, you know what? I'm going to go hit some of these lakes because it was right in the middle of the spring. I told her one day, I said, Shell, I'm going to go to Santee and fish for the day, and I'll drive back. She turned around and looked at me. She said, no, you're not. I said, excuse me? She said, you're not going. And, I said, what do you mean I'm not going to Santee? Yeah, you've never told me I can't go anywhere. She said, Drew, I'm just telling you, you're not going to Santee. She said, I don't care where you go. You're just not going to Santee. And I was like, okay, so it's not the fact that she don't want me to go fishing. She just don't want me to go to Santee because it was during the spawn. She loves to go and bass fish with me. She loves the bed fishing thing. So we've done it a lot of times. And she told me later on, it was like our place. So I respected that a lot. And I chose to go to Baden. Caught a 6.5 pounder that day off the bed. Went to Sheridan Harris the next day. Lake Sutton the day following. So I was all over the place.
Dude, I mean, that's the argument you want to have, though. I thought it was going to go in a completely different direction. She's like,
you can go. You just can't go there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because you ain't catching those bigs without me.
She's like, the little lady that works at the tackle shop is not going to hit on you again at Santee, okay? You're not going. No, she wanted to go catch bedfish, and that's your guys' special place. You're not going there without her. That's super awesome, man. If that's a dude, I wish that was the worst argument. So yeah, man. So I mean, we're kind of in that fishing game. Do you, Ben? You got anything for Drew before we move on?
Yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
You know, one of the things. So I'll ask you this, and then I'll recap with something that a lot of the people at the Raleigh Fishing Show told us.
Okay.
But the first question is what got you into bass fishing at the level you're in right now? Like, what gave you the itch?
So long time ago, whenever I'm getting ready to turn 41. So I was in 6th grade. I always played baseball, football, basketball growing up. Of course, wanted to be the next Michael Jordan, wanted to be the next Chipper Jones, everything like that. Well, one day I was actually at a friend's house that I went to church with, and we sat down. It was on a Sunday afternoon. I think it was around 7:30, 8 o'clock. And he said, have you ever seen this? And he introduced me to Bassmasters. So I started watching it, and he told me about it being a competitive sport, and they're actually out there bass fishing. And I was like, whoa. He gave me my first. At that moment, I was just hooked. He carried me out there to some of his ponds he had in his yard. My mom, the next year, got me into one of the Bassmaster seminar series up in Raleigh. I seen, it was Jay Ellis, Larry Nixon was there. That was back actually when Gerald Swindle was really young, and he had just his little mustache. So, I mean, it's been a long time ago, but that was where it all started. Went to college for aquaculture to learn more about fish in general, because I just fell in love with fishing at that moment and wanted to learn everything about the water inside and out. So, I mean, that's what you want. Where'd you go to school at? I went to Brunswick Community College. It's actually between Charlotte and Wilmington.
Okay. So you went to school, you got some training and understanding like fish biology and all that stuff. Was there ever a point where you're like, okay, he introduced me to Bassmaster. I see these guys, they're fishing for a living. Was that ever your dream to be a professional fisherman? Yes. Matter of fact, when I switched from Christian Academy, the school I was at through middle school, I went to and transferred to South Columbus. We sat down with the principal, and she asked me, she said, what do you want to do after you're out of high school? At that time, we didn't have any high school bass fishing, college bass fishing. None of that even existed at that moment in time. And I sat down and I looked at my mom, and she looked at me. She said, just tell her. I said, okay. I said, I want to be a professional angler and fish tournaments across the United States. And the lady looked at me. She said, I don't have any classes that I can put you in to do that. So, I mean, honest answer, I get it, but it was a lot of fun throughout high school, being able to do that, getting my friends involved in the fishing world of it. We went to the Bassmaster Classic Expos. The very first one I ever went to was when Takahiro Mori won it in Charlotte. On Lake Wiley. That was my very first one, and I used MapQuest to find my way around Charlotte at that time. So that was an experience, and I was there by myself.
So had a blast, and just throughout the years, tournament fished with other guys, fished BFLs, fished South Carolina Federation, fished a bunch of opens, as far as like charity events, things of that nature throughout North Carolina, South Carolina, done some in Tennessee, done some up in Virginia, out in Georgia, Alabama. So I've kind of been all over the place.
Yeah. So what, I mean, after you graduated, like, did you give it a shot trying to qualify for anything, or did you jump into like a stable job?
No, I went, so I did have a stable job, but I was actually working 2 jobs at the time, but everything I had was going towards a boat payment, insurances, stuff of that nature. I still lived at home at that time, and I was trying to put everything I could towards the BFL, South Carolina Bass Federation, which I'm still fishing those because I enjoy it. I like the guys. I like it that it's not super far away from the house. Entry fees are fairly affordable, but that was where I was at with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not a cheap sport by any means of the imagination, but luckily, I mean, they do have so many different circuits that allows all of us to fish. I know we really enjoy the Fishers of Men. That's a great circuit. I know Fishers of Men is down there. They're across the nation, but not and you're right. Like all of us in the room, like we didn't have any of that. All those stepping stones and things like that. We had Bassmaster magazine. I never even followed Bassmaster as a kid. I didn't even care about any of that stuff. I wanted to be a cop. That didn't work out. I joined the Army, figured that was my calling and stuff. But, it wasn't until later that, tournaments and stuff became a thing for me. So when you started fishing that stuff, how quickly did you realize that did you realize that it was harder to make a living off of tournament fishing, or did you jump into it and have like immediate success?
I've jumped in and I got my teeth kicked in. I'll just be honest with you. I got my teeth kicked in. The guys that I have grew up fishing against, man, they are just absolute sticks. A lot of them do fish the cat tournaments that you've got across North Carolina, South Carolina, and anybody knows that you fish a cat event, you might as well be bringing everything you've got to fish against these guys because they're good. They're extremely good. That was some of the stuff that starting out the gate. I mean, I said to myself, you're going to have to pick up your dress and get to work and learn these places. And I mean, it's either feast or famine. You either do extremely good or you sucking eggs, one of the two. But there's been a lot of egg sucking I've done.
Dude, I mean, I know Ben's from you're from Missouri, right, Ben? Or is it Arkansas? Which one? Yeah, claim those. Pete's from Pennsylvania. I'm from Kalamazoo, Michigan. And this place is a breeding ground for absolute local hammers. I mean, obviously there's a lot of national hammers and stuff, but I didn't realize, I don't know if any of us realized how good these guys were. And I'm sure you're fishing against guys that grew up fishing places like Sutton, fishing places like Santee, of course, and all the lakes that you go to. But one of the things for me, my training ground over the last, 7 years has been like a place like Sharon Harris and Jordan Lake and stuff like that. Not so much Jordan, but when as you grew up down there and you really got into this game, did you have a lake that you went to all the time? Like for me, it was Sharon Harris. For you, did you have a lake that you went to all the time that you really cut your teeth on?
So I actually fished a lot with Lake Waccamaw, which is the headwaters of the Waccamaw River, Lake Tabor, which is only like 150 acre lake. It's not a very big reservoir. Lake Sutton is another one that I fished, and then also the tidal waters out of Bucksport, which goes all the way down into Winyah Bay, which is Waccamaw River, Little PD, Big PD, Black River, and then the Northeast Cape Fear, Black River up there as well. So that was all tidal water. And most of your like national events that we've got, as far as your BFLs, none of them actually take place on the tidal water unless you're fishing James River or Potomac River. So I kind of shied away from those and focused more on the lakes, which each one of those were different. And I used those kind of like as a training ground, because fishing Lake Waccamaw is very similar to like fishing in Florida. Lake Tabor, it's got fingers, it's got timber, you got secondary points, things of that nature. Granted, it is shallow and it was a dirty lake, so it got me more prepared for like your highland reservoirs, like Lake Jordan, let's see, Norman, some of them other places like that. Lake Wiley was one that was very similar. And then whenever you went to Lake Sutton, you dealt with clear water, deeper water. You're dealing with stumps. You're dealing with creek channels, things of that nature. That's more of an offshore approach with grass. So you have to be able to adjust yourself according to each body of water, because none of them are exactly the exact same at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just prepared me for other lakes. That's all.
Yeah. And, there were several people that came up to us at the Raleigh Fishing Show that really liked the fact that we talk about a lot of our local lakes. Now, whether or not they're trying to gain a competitive advantage over, any of these local hammers, and the names are pretty, people know, like if you fish on Jordan Lake in February, you're fishing against Bo and Brian. Everybody knows that. If you fish up on, Kerr Lake, you're fishing against guys like Tyler Trent. He's a household name. Seth Ellis, right? You fish out in Gaston, you got who are the guys? Shane and Evan. So you got these household names, but one of the things that guys talked about were like, hey, we really like when you guys talk about some of the local lakes. Outside of, and then we can dive into like BFLs and stuff like that, or we can do it after. But one of the things I wanted to ask you was like, in your experience down there where you live, if you were to talk about like one thing for, you don't have to give your juice away, but for like Waccamaw and Sutton and Cape Fear River and Tabor and stuff like that, for the guys and gals that live down in that area, like for each one of those places, what is your best piece of advice to maybe help people catch fish? And it doesn't have to be one piece, it's just whatever advice you have for people down there to maybe help them out a little bit.
All right. So as far as the tidal water fishing, one of the things I'm going to go ahead and tell you is you can be out there and one day you're just hammering them away. The next day, it's almost like everything that you were doing the day before just completely non-existent. It's like you just have to go in with a brand new playbook, focus on the tides, and actually chase them, because a lot of people don't realize that the moon phase has a lot to do with the tides. The wind directions have a lot to do with your tides, because it can blow it out and make it a lot lower tide, or it can blow it in and make it higher and not fall as much as you're expecting it to. So that can change up a lot of different things as well. So my thing for tidal water is approach every day like it's a brand new day and just scrap everything that you had the day before. Kind of keep it in the back of your mind, but go ahead and just start fishing and figuring out the pattern again. Mm-hmm. As far as Waccamaw, don't fish it on a cold front. It's a really good place to fish. Be mindful of the weather out there, because the wind can get up quickly. It's nothing more than a big bowl. Deepest point's about 8 foot of water. You do have a bunch of shallow water cover. If you like to fish docks, that's a great place to go. You've got also reeds, grass, lily pads. We call them bonnet beds. They look like arrows, but they're just a type of bonnet, we call them in the lake. And a lot of that is based on the wind direction, things of that nature as well, depending on how you want to fish it. Because if you're out there and it's howling 15 mile an hour, I mean, one side of the lake's just going to get pounded. So you actually have to figure out what's on the other side of the lake and fish those areas. Lake Tabor, man, there's stumps everywhere. So be mindful of that. There's some brush in the lake as well. You can get out there and catch a ton of fish. There is some grass in the lake. I caught a 4.5 pounder off of a jackhammer. Not jackhammer. It was a Spro cover jumper.
Mhm.
And a lot of people just think of chatterbaits. So that's why I went in and said jackhammer. Because that's a big player out there as well, especially this time of year. You can catch a lot of really good fish. And, timber is out there. So you can get used to fishing a lot of brush, a lot of cover that you may not get to fish on Lake Waccamaw because it's fairly big open lake. Sutton, like I said earlier, a lot of clean water, a lot of grass, a lot of deeper water. So there's fish that will travel around flats. There's fish that, the guys that are using forward-facing sonar, chasing shad. There's tons of different ways to catch them out there as well. And it's a heck of a lot of fun. Just an experiment with a whole bunch of different things because, keep your open mind because there are times the big worms, the big baits really catch them a whole heck of a lot better than the smaller stuff, and then vice versa. So you have to be prepared.
Yeah, I mean, Ben, you fished Waccamaw before, didn't you, or was it Sutton?
No, I've never fished Waccamaw. Sam's always invited me down. I just haven't got down there yet.
What was the one that you fished down there? Was it Sutton?
Well, Sutton was the one the club went to, yeah, and they always went, during the winter time because the hot water discharge and all. If I remember right, Sutton it's kind of like it's got like a channel basically on the outside of the ponds.
Yep.
So it's deeper on the edges than it is in the middle, and it's just a bunch of like laydowns and stuff. I think cut under the water.
That's correct. There's a bunch of dikes that actually divide the lake, and as the lake is divided along the side of those dikes, now not all the whole way around it. There's usually like a 15 to 20 foot channel that goes around the whole entire lake. That's technically the safe path of travel if you can follow it. Because running out towards the middle of the lake, you might be in like 2 foot of water with giant stumps around you, in just a blink of an eye. Yeah, it's crazy how that works. Now, when it comes to sight fishing, you'll be looking at fish sometimes in like 6 foot of water, 7 foot of water that are spawning, and it's like you can't believe you're actually looking at a fish that deep
in the middle of the lake.
Yeah, just at random places out in the middle of the lake because there's high points, there's low spots. They went in with a trying to remember what it was, a drag line, and actually made a lot of those dikes that run through the lake. So it's you got all sorts of different gouges, different places that are high spots. So there used to be a channel that come from the river that ran in there, and they just built up a dike on the outside of it. So you still have the old creek channel that runs through that lake too. Yeah.
No, that's good information for the audience. I mean, we, here in the Piedmont, and you've fished a lot of lakes around here. Like, we talk about Jordan and Falls, Harris and Kerr and Gaston, and we haven't really talked about the Yadkin chain too much. So for those listening or watching, like, we're sorry, we'll try to get more on the Yadkin chain and stuff like that. But you heard it from Drew himself. He's got a lot of those lakes on lockdown there. Obviously, he likes to travel to Santee. A lot bigger body of water and stuff, but you have good training ground down there. And I think that's important for a lot of anglers that are trying to sharpen their skills is like, you got to pick a lake that has variety. And if you're not in a location, one of my favorite lakes to fish, and it's a couple hours away, is Lake Gaston, right? Like Gaston has kind of everything you're looking for. It has docks, it has rock, it has, used to have really nice eelgrass, not so much anymore. Hydrilla, not so much anymore, but it really has kind of everything you're looking for. If I go to Sharon Harris, it's a different Sharon Harris. So you're not getting the full spectrum of bass fishing. Right. And so there's places around here that offer that, and that's good that you were able to break some of that down for the audience. But when it comes to like the higher level tournament fishing that you do, what made you really want to get into like like the MLF BFLs and stuff like that. When did you make that jump? Like, do you remember how many years ago it was?
It was in 2007 was my first jump into the BFLs. So it was, yet again, it was one of those learning experiences where you jump in with your feet expecting high expectations, and dude, man, those guys are good too. Everybody is good.
Very first BFL, like, first of all, did you jump in as a boater or did you go as a co?
I jumped in as a boater.
Okay, so you jumped feet. You jumped head first. You didn't jump feet first. You jumped head first. Boater. Do you remember what lake it was on in 2007? Your very first BFL?
Santee Cooper was my very first one, and it was in when was it? It was end of February, I believe, beginning of March. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, March 10th.
Ben's got it pulled up.
There you go. And the crazy part about it was I've practiced for 3 days down there. And I beat my head up against the wall for 3 days. So 2 days of that practice, I didn't have a bite. The final day of practice on that Friday before, I went out there, and the biggest fish I have ever caught as far as largemouth, 11.25 on a top order, on a top order frog. And I lost my mind, dude. I caught a buddy of mine as soon as I hooked the fish, got him into the boat. And I called him. I was like, hey, dude, I need you to get down here. And I was actually at the hatchery, if you're familiar with Santee. And I called him, and he come running down there to me. So he was like, dude, what's wrong? Are you okay? I'm like, look. And I pick up the fish. He's like, where'd you catch that? And I pointed to the grass. I was like, right there. And the crazy part was later on that day, I ended up catching another one that was 6.5 pounds. So I had fish that had already pulled up and were ready to try to start spawning. I didn't realize it at that time, but the day of the tournament, I saw fish that were cruising and around those areas where I caught those fish, and I just couldn't get anything to the mitt. But I'll go ahead and tell you, man, I went to the swimming pool that day. I jumped off the diving board head first, and they had drained the water out of that sucker. So it was I
got an important question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
What was the cell phone you had to call your buddy on?
The cell phone was the Motorola Razor. Yeah, I had the old flip phone. So I actually
back then.
Yeah, I found that thing the other day, and I opened it up, and I tried to look at the photos, and they were so pixelated. I was like, man, this is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you like this, and this is going to show some age, and you guys are probably going to be along with it. You were talking about Gaston, and it triggered a memory because I remember sitting down and recording one of the Kmart, I think it was a Kmart Top 150, that Denny Brower was flipping the Flippin' Blue jig under those docks catching fish on Lake Gaston. And I believe he ended up winning that tournament. Yeah, I've actually, if I'm telling you right, I still have that on a VCR.
The old VHS tape, huh?
Yeah, old VHS tape. You got it. So I've got a bunch of that stuff, man.
I was watching something the other day. It was like football highlights or something, and they went back to like the early 2000s, and I'm like, how did we watch games that looked like this?
I mean,
yeah.
So I can imagine the old VHS tape. If you plug it in, you're like, good God, what was I filming?
But dude, imagine what you just talked about. That's 19 years ago.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So
19 years ago.
I'll tell you like this. Here's the one thing that I will tell you. I like to fish the BFLs, and I'm not fishing them to come in like 40th place or anything like that. Whenever I go out there to win them. This past season, I did a different approach because I wanted to qualify for the regional that was on Lake Murray. Yep. So everything was different. I've got a bunch of events where I've zeroed because I have went out there and had crap tournaments and had issues, break off fish, bad choices, bad decisions, things of that nature, which are learning experiences. Every time I go to the water, that's my target, is to learn something new or learn from mistakes I've made. That way I can eliminate them going forwards. And that was one of those learning points there. This past year, I done extremely well in the BFL, very consistent. But until I got to Norman, yet again, I had that day of, you know what, I'm going to go out here and just go ahead and try to win this sucker. And I think I came in with 2 fish on the final day, or on the 2-day event going into the to end up the points. But I've always tried to fish them to win them. So my track record looks pretty crappy per se.
Well, dude, I mean, if we were to go off of tournament results for all of us, we would be not doing. I mean, the best year that I ever had was in 2024. You know, and that was with Fishers and Men. But you know, outside of that, man, like I think that's an important message, right, for the audience. You know, don't pay attention too much to years worth of tournament results. You know, specifically when you're talking about like, you know, BFLs and you know, some of the 1 to 2 day derbies at some of the highest level of fishing, man. Like guys put their money in the pot so they can go win. You know, there's a lot of, and look at the, you know, you can look at the cat trail results around the North Carolina region or across the country, but look at North Carolina. You'll see some of the biggest names on those tournament results with 0. Why? It's not because they didn't catch fish. It's because they dumped their fish. Right. They dump their fish because they know that if I'm going out on Gaston right now and I don't have, like, I'll give a perfect example. Seth Ellis went out there the other day. I'm going to throw this out there. And he had 18 3/4 pounds and didn't cash a check. If he he thought in a million years, dude, it took over 22 pounds to win at Gaston. Right. Some can say the power of live scope or forward facing sonar, some whatever, doesn't matter. But so when people gauge your ability as an angler off of tournament results, they're looking at the wrong data. That data is not the deal. Now, even guys that can't requalify for the Elite Series, you think for 1 minute they won't kick your freaking teeth in if you fish against them? Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, don't make any mistakes whatsoever. You know, the guys that didn't requalify for the Elites, and I hear guys say that all the time. Well, if you brought them down here to Sharon Harris, I would beat the snot out of them. Well, yeah, you should. You literally fish that lake 7 days a week.
And you probably wouldn't.
And you still probably wouldn't. You know what I mean? So it is very humbling. So 2007, you jump in. That's your very first one. You catching a ridiculous personal best that I could only wish I caught that. You have your tournament. And then so from 07 to 2025, 26 now, have you been consistent throughout that entire time fishing BFLs and stuff?
Well, there's been a few years, like the year that I had my cornea ulcer where I was out. I fished the very first tournament on Lake Murray, and then came home. I was all tore up about that because I was missing my season because I really couldn't see out of my right eye. Whenever I say cornea ulcer, literally I wear contacts, and if you're not like 4 to 6 inches away from my face, I can't make you out. It's just like a big blur. It's kind of like a giant painting that it's a whole bunch of mess. But my right eye, I actually had to go without my contact for like almost 6 months just because the corneal ulcer peeled my cornea off over the whole entire central portion of my vision. So, and that's why if you ever see me, my right eye kind of have like a weak eye. My wife will pick at me sometimes about it. She's like, "You're winking at me." but that's oh yeah, all's fair in love and war, man. But that was one of my frustrating years. Getting back on track, really being consistent, and my wife will tell you that one of my worst things as far as growing up playing baseball, if I had a bad game, I'd come home and go behind, my man cave now, and I would actually hit baseballs for the next 2 hours off of a tee into the dog pen, working on my swing because I had one bad game. I had one bad game, and I'm still the same way with fishing. And I beat myself up. And my wife just told me, she's like, Drew, you shouldn't beat yourself up the way you do. But I'm my biggest critic, and I know what I'm capable of. And I'm not going to accept that I went out there and didn't perform at my highest ability. Sure. And everybody knows that there's going to be times that you just can't. Yep. The conditions will beat you up, or you're not adjusting. But mental mistakes is one of those that, I mean, I just hate it. It drives me up a wall.
Do you have your, Pete talked about it a long time ago when we first started the show. I think you had like a really bad tournament going on at the Roanoke River or something, and you end up calling Destin DeMarion like midway.
I was spun out bad. Bad.
Yeah, I mean, talk about that.
I was going to sell all my shit. Like, I was done. After that, I just convinced myself that I just actually am not good at fishing, and there's like no pressure on you once you do that. No, yeah, I mean, like I was spun out, and I had never been that bad. And I think all of us as anglers, whether you can, especially if you compete, I shouldn't say whether you compete or not, because I know some dudes that can just go out and fish and are perfectly happy with just doing that, which I can do. But if I'm competing, I'm also hard on myself. I know Trey is. I don't know. Ben, you're not too bad. I've only fished a couple like Thursday nighters with you and stuff, but you didn't beat yourself up too bad. But
that's like, because I had people with me. If I'm by myself, I'm a lot worse. I crash
out. I don't care. I'm good, bad people with me by myself. I don't. But yeah, so I just had a really bad tournament. I had to call a buddy who fished the elites and had made it to the highest level, and I'm just like, dude, like I'm spun out. What do you do? And he was like, just sit down and eat a sandwich, bro. He was like, eat a sandwich and then just go do what you do. Because if you sit there and you just keep thinking about it and you push yourself, you're not going to make anything better. So that I did. I talked to him. I ate a sandwich. I made a change in hook because I kept losing fish. So I just retied a couple things, and then I got back on track and caught a lemon. I think I ended up cashing a check in that one, but I needed that. I needed somebody to tell me because I'd never spun out that bad. I'm like, I spent a lot of time on this place. I know how to catch fish. I can't keep them pegged. I can't I was literally going to break stuff. And I'm like, I'm making a phone call. That's the only thing
you're going to pull an Ike.
It was like I was going to snap a rod and throw it into the river. And I'm not saying that I haven't done that before, but I haven't done it in a while.
Just don't go back there and break the light pole like I did that year in the Classic and got disqualified.
That's right. Oh, yeah, don't do that.
So, and I'll tell you like this, Pete. That's one of those things right there that you're talking about. And playing baseball growing up, one of the best ways to get out of a hitting slump was to bunt the baseball. Okay, you start bunting the baseball, you get consistently, you get up there, you get your bunt down, you get on base. You start, if you got to start at the ground level, start at ground level and start working your way up. That's like with me. If I'm out there and I'm struggling, you know what? If I get out there and I'm catching 12-inch fish, you know what? Hey, that's good. That's a start. Now let's see what I can do to change that in practice. That's like the very first event that I ever fished in the BFL. 2 days out there, no bites. I'm questioning, like, why am I even doing this? Which Santee is a beast like it is. But then I catch the fish that I've been chasing now for the last 19 years, and I can't beat that. But there are different things that you can work yourself towards. Starting out, just being consistent, just catching fish. It don't have to be giants. Yeah. You can go out there to the local ponds and just wear them out. That's a start. And then you progress yourself upwards. So you've got to really coach yourself and work at it. And it's work. That's what it is.
One of the issues nowadays, especially, and I'm sure it's everywhere, is there's so much information that is so readily available that you convince yourself that you need to do different things. I need to concentrate and get better at doing this, right? And you get away from what you're confident in and what you're really good at. And my wife to this day asked me why I don't fish a jig like I used to. I was Denny Brower. I fished a jig, and that was basically all I fished. Might flip a creature from time and again if they're eating top water. I'd throw a buzzbait around, but I would fish a jig and a lipless, and caught a lot of fish and made some money. And then I'm like, I got to figure this dang minnow pinging out. Oh, I got to figure out how to do this. Oh man, they're beating me deep cranking. I got to go figure it out. Even though I know I can catch 18 pounds if I flip every freaking lay down with a jig on this lake. But you convince yourself you need to go do this stuff because you hear people are out there catching fish, and it's like, well, I can't compete if I don't do it. That's absolutely not true.
Yeah.
Look at the sport of bass fishing. There's not a lot of guys. John Cox,
Dustin Smith.
Yeah.
I'm sure, and you stick to your thing. I know you like to flip a D-bomb and do some stuff like that. Like
I do.
You've got to go with what you're confident in doing, and you don't have to chase what you're seeing on social media or stay away from that dang doc talk.
Yeah.
Because that will get you, and trust yourself.
That's right.
Because that's another big thing. And Trey and I talk about all the time. Like
YouTube is the biggest doc talk in the world.
And I think last year I saved a couple tournaments because we listened to my gut on more than one occasion.
1,000%. We saved Gaston tournament.
Yeah.
Gaston tournament, right? Like we caught 2 off the bed
on May 31st.
On May 31st. And then the rest of the fish were
struggling. World
in the wind,
right?
Yeah, it was awesome, dude.
It was great.
And the rest of the day, the plan that I had laid out was like, dude, we can go catch spots offshore, like, except for the fact there was 972 mile an hour winds, and that just wasn't happening. And Pete's
that makes it fun.
We got to go to the grass.
I was like, get me around the grass. And chuck a bladed jig around, right? And we ended up cashing a check in that event and saving the season. Did it at Mayo?
Yeah, did it at Mayo. Like there was a bunch of instances, but yeah, like
you have to trust your gut.
You got to trust your gut. Right. Now, of course, it won't always work out, so you got to figure out how to manage your emotions. But the one thing I did want to ask you is, fishing the BFLs, you always have a co-angler, for the most part, you always have a co-angler in the BFLs, right?
That's correct.
So how do you manage your emotions around a co-angler? How do you do that?
So you very carefully. There are some co-anglers. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you flat out. I'm not sugarcoating this. There are some co-anglers. They are good as gold, man. They are awesome, and there are some of them. Oh gosh, yep. I ain't got the words for it. That's like that high school drama, sweetheart.
He's got train conductor words for it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can't say those words on here. But
yeah,
there are really, really good co-anglers out there, and there are some that are not very helpful. They will sit in the back of the boat and pressure you and tell you, "Hey, you need to go over here. Hey, I've got fish here. Hey, look, dude, stop. Let me work this out." And sometimes you get lost in that too. My co-anglers this past season, all of them were just awesome, man. Every one of them. I can't say enough about them. They were all excellent guys, and I've made lifetime friends out of many of them. I've seen them during the regional, and when we were up there, I'm telling them information that I've had during my practices to where it might help them out of the back of the boat. I have no problem sharing information with friends of mine, fellas that I have fished with, and trying to give them some insight of what I'm doing, because I'll go ahead and personally tell you, it's hard to catch another man's fish, because like Pete, you like to fish a jig. I like to fish a jig, and I can guarantee you in the boat with me, we're both going to fish it similar, but not the same. Yep. That's correct. And that was one of those things.
Slightly different colors. Yep.
That's correct. That's one of those things that I did at the regional. Is I actually fished a jig both days. The first day, I was slow to make my adjustments, and the fish were nipping at it instead of actually eating it. And I did manage to catch 3 fish that day. The second day, I had my limit by 10:30. So I was actually out there doing something similar, but not the same. But all of my fish came from 5 foot or less. Now, I'm nowhere close to what the boys from Georgia did, because they just absolutely wrecked them. I mean, my hat's off to them. They figured it out down there then, and they smacked them. Because I think it was 23 on day 1 and 24 on day 2 is what the guy won it with.
Yeah.
And I had 10 pounds with 3 fish on day 1 and 16 on day 2. Finished 26th overall. I was happy with that because I was actually able to go out there and catch fish the way that I had confidence in. And I went back the second day, even though the first day was a struggle. The second day I went back with what I knew, and I popped a 16-pound bag. Now, granted, it's not a 24-pound bag, but it was a good bag for me to move back up versus
The leaderboard
going backwards. So that was one of those things that.
Well,
yeah.
Talk about that for a minute. You know, this we're all about education and information. You talked about, you know, catching 3 fish on day 1, and you noticed that the fish were nipping at your jig and not eating it all the way. What was the biggest, and you don't have to let the secret sauce out there, but generally speaking, what keyed you in, and what big change did you make to land those fish the next day?
So one of the this is going to kind of contradict everything I said about saltwater fishing, but I will say this: so whenever you're actually out there fishing for flounder are known to come up and grab your mud minnow, but not fully eat it. Okay, and as that mud minnow's sitting there, then he kind of sucks it in after about 5-6 seconds. Then he'll suck it in, and you've got him. It's no different than if you've ever seen a fish in a tank trying to eat a crawfish. They'll come up and they'll grab the claws, and they'll tear the claws off first. So whenever I was actually setting the hook on these fish, I was coming back with one claw. They were trying to eat the claws. That's what they were doing. They weren't eating my jig right away unless I did something weird, like make a high lift instead of working it across the brush like I was. If I made a high lift, which means I pick it up like 4 to 6 foot off the bottom, make a big lift of my rod, that jig would come back down and fall in front of them. One of them would suck it in. That was just a reaction strike. But for them to actually eat it, that's what they would do, is come up and grab the trailer on my jig. I was throwing a twin turbo by Missile Baits and tipping it with some JJ's Magic, and they would grab it, but they wouldn't grab the whole entire thing. So I went through 4 packs of twin turbos in 2 days. So I mean, they were just wearing out my trailers, but that was one of those things that I realized was happening, because bluegill, they like to nip on the strands of your jig, or they'll also grab the tips of your trailer if you dye them, and you can see the teeth marks on them. So being observant and paying attention to that stuff, that can key you in and make a difference. So day 2, I just kind of slowed it down. Hey, feed it to them a little bit longer, and they'll eat it. Yep.
Those are those little things you talk about keying in, like the teeth marks. And, you know, a lot of times people will, like, it'll pull the, you know, you pull the trailer down on the hook and they're like, well, that was a bass. That probably wasn't a bass. Like, usually if a bass grabs a claw, they take the claw with them when you go to pull it off them. That'll kind of key you in that was probably a gill or something else down there that was nipping at the tip of the claw, and he got a hold of it and you pulled him a couple inches when you pulled it, and you slid the trailer down, right? Like
that's
those are little things that key you in on stuff, and obviously letting it sit will make them eat it. I found, like, me fishing a jig in a case like that, sometimes if you downsize your trailer so those claws just barely are coming out the back of the skirt, they'll eat it a little better. I've also found that if you go giant, sometimes they'll eat it, and they're like, man, I got to just eat this great big giant crawfish.
That's right.
So, and that's to your point. Like, I would have tried something completely different probably than letting it sit there, because I would be like, all right, they're grabbing it. What do I got to do? I'm going to downsize first, and then I'm going to try this. And that's to the point. Like, Trey and I have done it where we're fishing the same bait out of the same boat, and one of us is whacking them and the other one can't get bit. It might be real speed. It might be the rod you're using. It might be the line. There's a million different things. You could be doing the exact same thing and you're not having the same success.
Or you're just hitting every single one of those fish in the head.
Or you're just hitting them in the head.
Yeah. But and that's the stuff, you know, like, you know, right now the industry, well, not so much anymore. It's actually been a breath of fresh air. Ben, Pete, and I talked about it on our last Fishing Friday Live. You know, over the last couple of years, it's been really polarizing, talking about forward-facing sonar and stuff like that. We didn't really get into that stuff, But that's a really good point that you bring up, which is going to be a forever thing, is like, you can't replace intuition and reading fish behavior and how they're reacting to your bait and making those micro or macro adjustments. You can't do that without spending a lot of time on the water, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
You know, with forward facing sonar, you can see how they react to moving baits and not moving baits and stuff like that. But, you know, when you're flipping laydowns, or you're dragging over rock piles or throwing into brush piles and stuff like that, you don't need forward facing sonar to tell you the whole story. Does it streamline the process? Absolutely. But those micro adjustments that you made transition from you going from 10 pounds to 16 pounds on the next stage, jumping up the leaderboard and having a top 25 finish, which is really good on a place that you probably don't fish that often, you know? So,
it's not.
you know, yeah. So those are the things that I want the audience to pay attention to, is like, man, like there's so much of a story that comes up when you pull your bait out of the water and you feel like you've been bit, to when you actually catch a bass. You get to look at the bass physically, look at what their gums look like, look what's down their throat. Well, look how their bellies are. Like if they're really brown, you see them like maybe they're burying themselves in the mud, you know, all sorts of stuff. There's huge stories outside of what technology is going to tell you. And speaking of technology, and this was my last topic I wanted to get into with you, is you have a pretty large following on social media with your Instagram and your TikTok and stuff like that. And this is another thing that a lot of anglers are, you know, if they haven't just realized it, they've been realizing it over the last couple of years of how important that is. And for you, when did you start realizing how important social media was to promote your individual brand within the fishing industry and outside of it?
Well, the social media side of it is, I would say it's more of a networking. You get to know a lot of guys. You get to see a lot of information that's out there. I'm able to actually promote my sponsors other than just going to tackle shops and showing up at dealerships, going to sporting events, going to the tackle shows. I'm actually able to show you the behind the scenes things. You know, I've been a little bit more reserved as far as showing my kids on there, just because of the way the world's going to.
Smart move.
But my kids love my fishing as well. And if my little girl was there with me the other day, Trey, she'd have told you, she'd have looked at you and said, "Hey, we went out one day and I caught 3 fish before he even caught one." I'm never going to leave it down. I'll just go ahead and tell you, I'll never live that down, which I'm perfectly fine with that. Or my wife will tell you of the time where she caught a 5-pounder right after I missed him. And we were bank fishing on a golf course. And look, this is one of those things that it plays in my mind like a record. She hooked this fish, brought him. She told me, she's like, get him. I grabbed him, put him on the bank, and she had my rod. And at that time I was with carrot sticks. She took it and she like spikes it into the ground like a football, and she's jumping around. I caught a 5-pounder. I'm like, what are you doing?
I
You
just
spiked my rod. But those are the moments that I really love to tell and to show on social media. I've started becoming a little bit more involved with TikTok because I can do more lives on there. There's still a bunch of stuff that I like to do, tournament recaps. There is times that I go lacking on some of it and don't complete the process because of job, with my kids, things of that nature, and I need to improve on. I want to get more into some of the YouTube stuff as far as the teaching aspect of it, because one of the things that I really love, and I figured out, I was a guide at Kingfisher Society in Laurel Hill, and with going out there and all these different clients that I was guiding, man, just being able to teach these guys, teach the kids, showing them and seeing the excitement of catching that fish of a lifetime that they caught. We were catching bluegill that were 2.5 pounds. I mean, so monster bluegill. But the social media there's a lot of networking involving in it. There's a lot of, one of the things I think is really cool is I've never met you guys until the other day, and I've seen you guys on social media and just followed you. So that's one of those things too. So I'm a fan of you guys as well. I ain't trying to sound sentimental or nothing, but
No.
I am a fan of you guys, and I want everybody to do well. Now, whenever I fish tournaments, I want everybody to do not well, but not do as well as me. I have that competitive side in me, and I want to, just absolutely go out there and wreck those fish, but I still want everybody else to do well and be safe doing it. And through social media, there's a lot of people that they don't leave here where I live at. They don't leave where you guys are, and being able to expose them to the fun things that you can do at these other places. My wife and I fished a CBC up on Santee a couple years ago, and we weren't doing very well. So we started taking photos of alligators and playing with alligators, and just, I mean, it was an experience for her. She got some awesome shots. We had a little one beside the boat. Now the big ones, we don't bother them because they got a lot more teeth.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. But as far as social media, getting the information out there, as far as the product I'm using, all the Spro crankbaits, just like the one I put out there the other day of the cover jumper, man, I mean, a lot of people don't realize that is a hot bite right now if you can get out there and get on it. So that's a lot of the fun with social media. I learned that probably about, I'd say maybe around 10 years ago. I really started seeing the growth. But now, with all that growth, you start dealing with hackers. So my Facebook page got hacked and had to restart everything all over again. So that's one of the frustrating sides of it. But for the most part, man, it's a blast. I enjoy it. I enjoy sharing the information out there to all the kids and everybody.
Yeah. That's something for all of our friends in and outside the industry, whether or not you're promoting a fishing brand or a non-endemic or whatever. There's a lot of people against it, or a lot of people that say, I don't have time for it. I would say embrace it. It does lead to a lot of those connections. We're connected because of it. We've had a serious amount of success, not only from the business aspect of it, but just from the friendship aspect of it, where we've created really great relationships with people. It's opened a lot of doors. It gives people an inside look at your life from the fishing side, right? Or however everyone's doing it. But I would say, just as much as people are like, anti-live scope or anti-forward facing sonar that are anti-social media, like, it's 2026, guys. Like, if you're not going to do it, don't do it. But if you're going to talk about like, well, I can't promote, you're going to have to embrace it, because that is the way that promotional stuff is done now. And look, for me, it's fun. And I know the OneCast itself was built on, like, we'd sit here and talk about fishing anyways. We're going to do this without a camera in front of us. So put a camera in front of you, right? If you're out there fiddling with, one of these, a worm on a different type of shaky head and stuff like that, well, you know what? If you think about it, throw a camera in front of you and just fiddle with it and see where it goes, right? It doesn't really matter, and yes, be safe with it, right? Don't try to expose your own children and stuff. Yeah, I get that, all that security stuff. But it is a great tool. And just like those fishing shows, which only happen a couple times a year, social media, it's infinite. You can do it all the time. Right. So it's a great piece of technology to embrace, especially it's never been more important than it is now, as the pie continues to be the same size, but people are trying to take more and more from that same pie. You got to do something unique and different and stuff like that. So my final thing for you, and then I'll turn it over to these guys, because I always do this. Where are you going in 2026 and beyond with the tournament fishing side? What's going on with you?
So 2026, I spoke with a good friend of mine, Chris Jones, out of South Carolina. He is the president of the South Carolina Bass Federation. And he told me their schedule, and I went ahead and just committed to fishing the South Carolina Federation this year. There are some of the North Carolina federations that I was planning on fishing as well. Still fishing some of the BFLs. My wife would like to pair up and us fish some of the cat events and qualify for the cat championship on Kerr up in May. We've got one that we like to fish some of the what are they? They're the Phantom Outdoor events that they have. And there's one down on the Waccamaw River that she likes to fish every year. So we try to go and fish it. So it's kind of going to be a bunch of jumping around this year. I like the BFL schedules, but there's a lot of conflicts as far as dates. So that's one of those problems with tournament fishing is you start running into conflicts with dates with either birthdays or different trips or vacations or things of that nature. Unless, I mean, that's one of those things that you're going to eventually run into. My little girl was born in January one year, and I was wanting to fish the opens. And I told her, I said, hey, I might have to go down to Florida the week that Ansley's born. And she's like, not happening. Nope. No. So that was not a smart move, by the way. She was pregnant at the time, so I was lucky I still have my teeth. I just tell her don't hit me in the face. This is the money maker. But one of those things that I was going to tell you this a while ago, Trey. An adjustment I made as well in the regional. And it's a subtle adjustment, and I don't know if y'all ever done it. The guys I heard Doc talk, okay, granted, you don't listen to it, but there was a lot of people talking about how they were catching fish off of a Zara spook. I was throwing the Walk and Haint by Spro, and it was the 110 version, and I had fish follow, but they wouldn't commit. I ended up changing the rear treble hook and put a feathered treble on from a Gamakatsu. And at that moment, dude, those fish were slurping that sucker. So that was the big difference in catching other fish on day 2 as well to add to it. So that was one of those things that made a big difference as well. It's not a giant change. It's just add a feather.
Yep. Yeah. No, I mean, we've seen that before, and we're huge. We all like flipping a D-bomb like everybody does, right?
Heck yeah.
But if you haven't got your hands on the OneCast Fishing Nighthawk, which you saw at the show, that thing is, and that's that subtle change, right? That's that profile, that fall rate. You actually talked about some juice that we won't talk about on here with weight differentiation and how a D-bomb floats down there. But those are the things that, like, you can do that in a kiddie pool and just see how it reacts and stuff like that, or you can go out there and flip it yourself. And I will tell you that there's been some baits that have been really underrated, overlooked, that came out in 2025 and 2024 and 2025 that, and it sucks too, because our whole job is promoting. We want to grow the sport. And we don't keep many secrets from people, but it's like one of those things, like Pete's like, don't tell anybody about that. And it's like, that thing's a game changer.
There's definitely things I don't tell people.
I mean, there's definitely some little things, right, to gain a competitive edge. But overall, these brands have done such a great job at developing product like Mistral, like Spro, like OneCast Fishing, and all of them. And so that leads me to this. Can I ask him, or do you guys got anything?
No, you're good.
So that leads me to this one. Who are all the people that support you and help you throughout your fishing journey from a sponsorship partnership perspective?
So through my journey, and one of my things is I like to invest in the companies that sponsor me. That means I don't hop from company to company. So if I approach you to get a sponsorship, I am genuinely using your product, and I plan on being with you for a long time. that is one of those things that I believe in. Is you've got so many people nowadays that bounce from sponsor to sponsor to sponsor just to try to see if they can get something new every year. I'm not like that. I don't look products I use. I believe in them. They're in my boat. I fish with them. And whenever I do approach somebody and ask them about them, I've already fished with your product. It's not because I've never used it before. So Spro is one of them. They're one of my major sponsors. AFCO, I can't say enough great things about AFCO, man. I wear their product even on the railroad, my day-to-day life. It doesn't matter. I'm fully invested in AFCO, and I just love their product. And it doesn't matter if you're fishing with me. I'll be glad to let you wear it and try it out for yourself. That way you can see how well it works. Gamakatsu hooks is another one. Sunline's, in my opinion, the best line on the market. It is a Japanese-made line, and I fish the fluorocarbon more than anything else. But I've never had any breakage issues. Never had any problem landing fish. Matter of fact, one of those events on Santee, I hooked a 6.5 pounder. It wrapped me around a cypress tree, one of the little cypress trees.
Yeah,
dude, no problem. Pegged her to it, went over to her, got it. She didn't ever break it. And I was using the 20-pound fluorocarbon sniper, the FC sniper. Sunline's another one. Ardent reels, Denali rods. I've been using Rod Armor for my rod sleeves. He's been awesome. He's out of Minnesota. Dude Hair Jigs is another one. And he makes the really big hair jigs, he does make some little stuff, but mainly the bigger hair jigs are the deal there. Missile baits. John makes one hell of a product, man. I know you guys, we talked about that at the show. He takes really good care of me, and love his product as well. There's let's see, JJ's Magic, Humminbird Minn Kota. Mike Buka is a good friend of mine, so I guess you would call me an affiliate of his. He's a one that I do see regularly, and I throw a bunch of his swim baits as well. So one of those things I will tell you too is don't be afraid to throw big baits. That's 100% fact. Even on small bodies of water, throw some big baits.
Yep.
So there's quite a few of them, and I'm sure I'm missing some, but those guys right there, I can't say enough about them. They support me. If I ever need anything, I get a hold of them, and they try to take care of me to the best of their ability. So
That's
these
awesome.
guys, I mean, and I'll do everything I can to support them as well. I know there's a big thing everybody likes to talk about with pro staff. Well, they can argue about it all you want. I believe you have to be professional, and you're part of their staff. So even though you are also their promotional staff, you still have to behave and take care of yourself accordingly. So it doesn't matter what the title is. At the end of the day, be a person, be respectful. Don't get me wrong. I'll go ahead and tell you, Missile Baits is the best product out there in the world. But I will also tell you, there are tons of other really good soft plastic companies. There's other really good rod companies. There's other really good reel companies. I'm going to tell you why I like my product better than the others. But I'm not going to try to tell you don't buy that.
Step. Yeah.
That's not how I do business, and I never will. I'll let you make that choice on your own. If you want to buy a bag of the Missile Bait D-bombs and compare it to I used to be sponsored with Big Bite, the Big Bite Fighting Frog, and compare the two and see which one does what. Hey, I'm glad to give you a bag of them. That way you can figure it out for yourself and make that personal choice. Me personally, I'm going to tell you the D-bomb rocks because I've seen it outproduce it big time. So all those guys, and utmost importantly, my wife, my family, my mom, my dad, I mean, all those guys right there, if it weren't for them, I wouldn't be able to do none of this mess. I mean, I'll be honest with you. And then, of course, God plays in part of all of it. I believe there is a divine intervention in that. So that way, you're put in a place for a reason, for a time. I mean, I've seen it where some guys are just struggling and somebody new comes to you and it's a breath of fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
They were put there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of those things that I do believe as well. And I don't mind sharing it. I'll tell everybody.
Yeah. No, it's good, man. People want to hear it. People need to hear it. You don't know, this show could absolutely change somebody else's life. It could be that divine intervention that we talked about. And if you forgot anybody on that list, I'm sure they can find it on all your social medias. Where can everybody go to find you on TikTok, IG, Facebook, and whatever other handles you have?
So some of them I've had to change some stuff because of my phone being messed up and my emails being changed. But you can go to youngfishin, FISHIN.com. You can find all my stuff on there. That's my website I have online. You can also look me up as Young Fishing 14, FISHING 14. I believe that's on my Facebook, Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think. TikTok, I believe, is Young Fishing or Andrew Young. So there's a couple different ones there. I believe my YouTube is Young Fishing 14 as well. So there's some that's changed, and of course I can't remember passwords for nothing anyway either. So it's I usually have a business card that has all this stuff on it, so I can here you go. But it's one of those things. I can count as long as I can count on my fingers and toes. I'm good. Once I start getting out of there, I'm done. That's like counting cars on the railroad, man. I'm in trouble.
Yeah, well, we're not getting any younger, but we are getting sharper. I feel like we're getting sharper. So,
that's right.
guys, before I end this, do you guys got any questions for Drew?
No, I think we hit it all.
Ben, you good? Is he frozen? Oh,
I was just going to ask, are you going to be up at the Fayetteville show next week?
I have not been asked as far as any sponsors to come up, but what I want to do is actually go and bring my wife and the kids and walk around the show and see everybody and talk to everyone. So I do plan on being there. It'll probably be on Saturday if I come. So I would love to come by and meet you there, Ben, because I seen Trey and Pete at the other show up in Raleigh.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see you there because I had a brief 1-day trip up there to work with Farley Outdoors selling AFCO and Denali rods. But I can tell you this too, and this is up to you guys. This is an invitation. Anytime y'all want to come and fish, holler at me. And I know Trey, you and Pete fish together a lot.
Yep.
And Ben, if you want to, dude, you can come hook up with me in the boat and we'll fish against Trey and Pete and have a fun tournament and put some lunch or something like that on it.
Let's do it, man.
I'm in.
Heck yeah, man.
I'm all about it. Maybe we'll get some of our other friends so we can beat them too.
Hey, either that or I don't mind. I'll come up there to you guys. I could care less either way.
No, it's all good and fun. What's up, Ben?
Someone Waccamaw or something. That'd be fun.
That's right.
Well,
it would be.
Yeah, I mean, Pete and I don't have any experience down there. We love fishing new bodies of water, man, exploring, just getting a different perspective. I think the audience is really going to like the fact that you talked about Waccamaw and Sutton, Tabor, stuff like that. Like, those are new areas that we haven't really talked about a lot on the show. So I know people are going to appreciate that. So yeah, we can definitely do, like a little 2v2 fish off down there. That'll be fun.
Heck yeah, man. Y'all just tell me when you want to do it. We'll make it happen, and we'll blow social media up. And hey, winner takes all. We'll have to have some sort of. I ain't gonna say we'll put a belt on it or anything, but we'll have something on it.
We'll figure it out.
No forward facing sonar allowed. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, I'm cool with that too. It doesn't matter.
No, dang it, I'm not cool with that. I don't know. I don't know.
It don't bother me one bit if you want to fish with that or you want to fish with it. I'm game either way.
We'll do this. We'll do one period. We'll do one period with it, and then you got to swap boats, and then you got to use Yep, you just got to jump boats. That's it. And then everyone uses each other's. Oh man, that'd be a disaster.
Especially on the left-handed rule. Everybody be like,
Oh Jesus! A friend of mine, and we used to go out there, and we would have these one-on-ones, and we'd pick whoever's boat we went with, and it didn't matter. I would start out in the front, he would start out in the back. If I caught a fish, then I would automatically have to move to the back of the boat. Then he takes control of the trolling motor. Yep. Well, and then if I'm in the back of the boat and I catch another fish, then I get the choice to either stay in the back and he stays on the trolling motor, or I can go up to the front and take over the trolling motor again. And basically it was just a numbers deal all day long. So if he caught one in the front, he automatically had to go to the back of the boat. We did that for a while, and oh man, that was crazy. That was fun. Insane.
That's super fun. That's the stuff you absolutely make sure you record with a GoPro or whatever. Because you're making some really cool memories, but people want to see that stuff, if you want to release it to them. So yeah, man, we'll definitely set something up. I did want to say something about the fishing shows. You asked, Ben asked if you were going to be at Fayetteville. Look, man, if you guys don't go to these fishing shows, like, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. It's not always about going there and looking for sponsors. I know we've seen that in the past. Actually, we didn't see a lot of that this year. So that was really cool to see. But more importantly, you get to meet really cool people, develop those friendships and those networks. We wouldn't be on this show right now with Drew if he hadn't came up to the booth, unless you would have messaged us on Instagram and stuff like that. So we really think it's a great opportunity for people to just kind of see what's going on inside the industry. And more importantly, and two, on the product side of the house, outside of the big box stores, the big companies and stuff, you get to see really cool, unique baits and just different types of innovation that are happening in the industry. You get to see some of the coolest, guys making hand carved crankbaits and top waters and saltwater baits and different soft plastics. There's all sorts of cool stuff to go check out. So if you're in the Fayetteville area, if you're coming from Fort Bragg, that's an order. Go down to the Fayetteville Fishing Show and check out all the cool people that are going to be there. Ben, Pete, anything from you?
Nope, I'm good, man.
Drew, anything from you before we jump off here?
Before we go, Trey, I told you at the show, and I don't know if Ben, you've had any service. Pete, you said you didn't, but I wanted to tell everybody that's out there, the men and women that are in the military, thank you guys. We really appreciate everything that you do. There are some people that are unappreciative. Ignore them because they have no clue of what the heck the deal is. You guys are the reason we are able to do what we do, and I do not have enough gratitude to give back to you guys. I just can't thank you guys enough for your time, for your service, and thank you for everything that you've done. That is huge, guys. Our men and women don't hear it enough that are in service. And they should know it. They should feel it. And what you guys are doing with the Warriors tournament, it is an awesome cause. And I plan on trying to get up there and fishing a few of them with you guys.
Please do.
Because I can't say enough about the praise and the thank yous for them sacrificing their time, their life for us to be able to come out here and try to catch a green fish. Yeah. I wasn't man enough to join the military, but I do want to express my gratitude to everybody that has done it, and thank you so much. I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
Drew, we appreciate that. Like Drew mentioned, Take a Warrior Fishing. Check out all the events we got going on this year. We got some major deals going on Jordan Lake, Sharon Harris Kerr down in Beaufort, North Carolina at the Saltwater Slam. And more to follow. So check that out at warriorfishing.org. Drew, thank you so much this evening for giving us some of your time and, coming to us at the show. We really appreciate it. We're looking forward to following you in the South Carolina Bass Federation. You said you're going to be fishing.
That's correct.
And the rest of the tournament series. Thank you so much for helping us to continue growing a culture of anglers helping anglers, one cast at a time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Yeah. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.